And not only that, more important than anything else, which is what made this play very special, because so many lines in the play and the scene itself, it happened many decades ago, but it could be happening today. Everything that was said is as relevant today as it was during the civil rights movement. What was more important, and why love was his weapon of choice, is because the battles that happen in this world, any battle, is not a battle between good people and bad people. It is a battle between good and evil. And all of creation is just a mixture of light and shadow. All of us are mixtures of light and shadow. So the battle, whatever it is on the outside, ultimately it has an inner expression. That there is this battle that is happening inside also, and it is between good and evil. And what he was doing by using love as a weapon was to strengthen the light, was to strengthen the goodness in each person. And by doing so, we can get to victory. That's the ultimate resolution, because love and goodness and light are the true nature of everyone. That is the essence from which we are all made. That's what is driving us constantly. And we all get confused. We all get confused and we seek it in all the wrong places. And from there, battles ensue. We live in a world where there is a lot of conflict right now, and one cannot but wonder, what is my role in all of this? What should I be doing? And it's not a simple answer. I recently, in the last couple of weeks, I watched a movie. I've always been interested in World War II and books and movies, on what happened and all the things that unfolded during that time. And I think this is a new movie. I think it was released rather recently. It was a movie called Nuremberg, and it is about, and I'm sure many of you know, at the end of World War II, the Allied forces took over Germany, and a lot of the Nazi high command, including Hitler himself, they took their lives. They were not captured. But there were many high officials and generals that were captured, and there was this trial that happened, I think, in 1946, where judges were brought from all the different countries, and they were tried. And this movie was very fascinating. I'm not presenting this as a recommendation or an uplifting watch. It was just very interesting. If you're interested in that, you might enjoy it. But the storyline was very fascinating. The story was exploring the relationship between this one man, Dr. Douglas Kelly. He was brought from the U.S. He was a psychologist, and he was counseling the 22 high Nazi commanders and officials before the trial, to see what they were like. Is there something to glean here? Why did they do what they did? And so he spent a good deal of time, and he documented a lot of it. And in the process, he actually develops a close friendship with Hermann Goering, who was at that time, he was number 3 in the Nazi command, and Hitler and the number 2, whoever it was, had killed themselves. So Goering was the highest ranking Nazi official. So for the rest of the Nazis who were left after the war, he was their leader. He was now the king. And so Dr. Kelly developed this friendship with Goering. Now, the point of inviting a psychologist and the whole exercise of doing all of this was to determine if there was some fundamental underlying psychiatric condition that made these people act the way they did. At this point, everybody knew the gruesome nature of the war, the concentration camps, the Allied forces had entered, they knew how many people had been killed. All of that had already been revealed. Now, Dr. Kelly spends a lot of time, I'll cut the story short. What he concludes is there wasn't anything that characteristically defined what was wrong with these people. And that was actually the most shocking finding, because everybody was hoping something was terribly wrong with them. And in fact, they were so dissatisfied with that answer for many reasons. They invited one more psychologist, Dr. Gilbert. I'll tell you, both of them wrote books. Dr. Kelly and Dr. Gilbert wrote books after the trials were over. And they had the completely opposite of conclusions. Dr. Kelly essentially concluded that these are just normal people. Talking of Goering himself, he was grandiose, he was narcissistic, and he completely lacked empathy. He didn't care about anybody else. In fact, at one point, Dr. Kelly asks Goering, do you really believe this? This theory of racial superiority, that the Jews were inferior and they need to be eradicated. And Dr. Goering just looks at Kelly and says, nobody believes that rot. And then Dr. Kelly asks him, but 6 million people died. So many people were killed because of this rot. And then, Goering, who completely lacked empathy, he just looked at him and said, but it made for good political propaganda. It really helped us. That's all he said. And it was shocking.